What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Showtime is Blazer King with King's Critiques, and we're here for episode 1 of Chainsmoker Cat. I was requested to watch this in a comment section of like a week ago, week and a half ago, something like that, and I had already planned to check it out originally, so I figure why not do it for you guys, and I'll mix in some other stuff in uploads with this, over time. Maybe like old recordings, new recordings, kind of like I was splitting Tabe and Botan, but we'll see how that goes. For now, I do want a few precursors to things. Number one being the obvious based on what's displayed on screen of I don't support smoking nicotine in any way, shape, or form because it is bad for you. And in a similar way, try to behave on your use of nicotine related products when helping you smoke other stuff. And you know exactly I'm talking about the green stuff. I don't know if I can actively say it on, the red platform or not, but yeah. Secondary thing I want to mention is because there are some things I am aware of about this show that might be uncomfortable for people to watch. Not uncomfortable, but just like kind of gross. I might like fade out the opacity of those scenes when they happen if I keep them on screen on the red and black platforms. But, well, Patreon, you get it in full as always, so yeah, I'm just saying that now. If I, like, pause on one of those scenes for some reason for an extended period of time, I'm probably just gonna fade out the entire image just so I don't get yelled at by one of the baby platforms. Because while Patreon is dumb, at least they're not a baby platform, made for goo goo gaga people. Anyway, one last note. This is a show based about addiction, and from what I've heard, well, we're not supposed to be taking it so lighthearted, so I'm going to do what I always do and talk about everything about this show with brass tacks, everything that is in my mind at the time. And that all being said, let us finally get into the first episode. There are going to be no more warnings after the first episode, so yeah. Meanwhile, the UGB apartment manager just made the place all clean and tidy, and she's probably just gonna flick her cigarette down there, isn't she? I could totally see that being a thing. Oh, come on. I make that prediction before he even says that, so you know that's exactly what she's just gonna... That's mad disrespectful, yo. Like, actually, matter of fact, this is the first thing we're gonna talk about in this. Like, if you want to, be a chain smoker, if you want to smoke in general, that's fine, whatever. But come on, man, at least deposit of your butts properly. Like, if you live in an apartment complex, why do you just dump them? That is hella disrespectful. And, like, I could blame that as part of the addiction, but actually she's just kind of an asshole for doing that, honestly. Like, shit, man. I've had people coming through my house smoking over the years, and they always, like, put their butt in the tray, or put their butt in the garbage can. Now, granted, I don't believe in doing that because you never know when a little bit might still be lit, so just stick in the fucking ashtray and put it in the garbage can later. Case in point, can full of butts, garbage can. Hey, yo, but, like, at least that might be worth the exchange of having that shit poured on top of your head. Now, if this were other types of content, which I mean it still might be, but it's on Netflix, so that's very hit and miss, I would say this would go in a completely different fashion. But I mean, from this point, if I were him, I'd just be like, never mind. Exactly what I've... Okay, you know what? For the stereotype I gave him in the beginning, way more respectful, I will say that. Because he did exactly what I just said. Just like come in, see that, and be like, you know what? Just be more careful next time. Very nice, by the way, and gone. Yeah, and this is just one of those kind of gross parts that we're going to be going over with how bad this is for her, because That bitch has been lying in a trash can for who knows how long. And she's still gonna light that son of a bitch up. Now, granted, I I might not be a nicotine smoker, but I will say I have found a roach, wink wink nudge nudge type. Uh and I have broken it apart to make use of what was inside. But I don't think I'd ever be that desperate to like find something in a garbage bag or litter box or something and be like, oh yeah, this is smokable. No. Okay, that last bit, Patreon side, for sure. But to elaborate on that last bit, well, he might have been respectful enough to leave while she was undressing. He definitely has a base mindset for that kind of thing. But again, when you have a certain appearance, well, 9 times out of 10, you really can't do much else, so. Okay, I was not expecting that last part, Patreon. And, like, I'm gonna talk specifically to you guys right now to, like, I don't apologize for the other thing I just referenced. That last thing, maybe a little bit. But I also did warn that this would be really fucking weird in more ways than you'd expect. But, she's hot, so if the level of comedy evens out, I will try to ignore that just a little bit. But yeah, since I'm talking to you guys specifically, you know how it is. First and last episodes, intro and outro. Let's roll it. Okay. Well, I was originally about to say something about this, but first, yeah, kind of listen to that because regardless of what you're smoking, there are certain people you don't want around you smoking. But if you're in a place where, well, it doesn't really matter, just be more careful in general. Take a concert venue. If you're at a concert venue, 9 times out of 10, there are going to be people that are smoking something or another. So just be wary of that. Anyway, referencing the change in apparel on the black and red side, I mean, listen, I saw it being a mostly female cast and they're all really good friends, so I'm taking my inferring the same way I normally do. If I'm wrong, let me know. I won't wear the Yuri Bay shirts on this program anymore. But until then, I will be because I saw at least 6 women, all very close together with their own addictions. So, yeah, that's what I'm inferring it as. And yes, I'm going to also take an assumption based on other things from the intro that at least her addiction is going to go some very questionable places. But I'm not going to judge before I watch. I have heard things about this show to where the process doesn't get much better, but maybe people are just bullshitting me, and maybe it's like the last couple, episode slash chapter thing. We'll see, but I'm braced for the worst, and let's go. Holy shit. Honestly, I don't think I've seen that much effort since a fucking One Piece character or something. Damn. Okay, so that was one of the parts that I was talking about that's questionable. And at least they did the solid of censoring it to some point, but I'm still not going to show it on YouTube. That this dumb cat just went flick and cigarettes went flying into, well, shit. And I imagine y'all can predict where this is going to grow, and yes, it is as gross as it sounds. Okay, she said something about the 3-second rule, and I'm just like, no. But here's another part about that. Like, even if you were going to bring yourself to be as deplorable to, like, smoke the ones that landed in a turd, as gross as that is to say, it would be, like, slightly less gross if you, like, snip the tips off them. And I know she's an addict, so that's, like, beyond the realm of believability to just, like, snip the tip off so it's not gross. But every little bit wasted is wasted, and, ugh. Like, I have a lot of addicts to various things in my family, whether blood related or otherwise. I don't even think the, like, heaviest smokers would do this shit. Like, my aunt is a chain smoker. I don't think she would be ever this desperate. I could be wrong, but that bitch has smoked at least a pack a day, probably, for the past 30 years, minimum. And I only say 30 years minimum because I only know it for, like, about my whole life. And I'm, like, over 30, so. Okay, okay. She at least rationalized it to how I said it should probably be fine if she cuts off the tips. Is she actually going to cut off the tips? Hopefully she, like, keeps the few separate that landed in it, and, like, the rest in the pack, and I'm giving her way too much credit, but I can only hope. She just got called the fuck out before she even began lighting one up. Oh. Okay, well, this rich bitch is being racist, but I can already see where this is going. That vase is being sold for cigarettes, isn't it? I can damn well guarantee that vase is being sold for cigarettes. Or her dumbass is gonna break it and then leave to have a cigarette. Or break it because she's leaving to have a cigarette. Okay. So, like, while she's at least cleaning it and, being respectful and shit, let me point out the obvious of she was told not to get her beast smell on it. Getting cat smell on it is one thing. What about getting cigarette smoke smell on it? Like, damn, bitch. Like, have your cigarette, clean one half, go have another, clean the other half. Like, shit, even for an addict, it's pretty easy to figure out, assortments of things. This hoe is not about to ash it, as she's gonna ash inside of it, isn't she? Yeah. Yeah, that's about what I expected. To be fair, bitch, she was smoking a cigarette in your face before you left. So the fact you didn't tell her that she can't smoke in your house, that's on you. Though, also, let me just point out, even if, she's trying to restrict herself to one cigarette a day, which is not great, but hey, it'd be better. There's also a really neat trick called ashing what you're smoking, and then smoking half of it later in the day. As somebody that uses the other type of stuff for, relaxation purposes and just, like, having developed some sort of oral fixation, but I'm also not stupid enough to do that. I smoke part during one time of the day, and then I put it out and do it more later. And hey, maybe it's even big enough for me to do it 3 times a day. See how neat, like, spreading that out is? I'd like to give her benefit of the doubt, but so far, I'm gonna give that very much doubt throughout the rest of the, season given. But what I will say openly, since I have this paused at the moment for, both black and red and orange and all that, there might be some certain things that have gotten hinted at to me from the intro that if they come up, I'm not sure if I'll continue the series just because it bothers me to how actually realistic it might be, but we'll see when it comes up. If it comes up, fingers crossed it doesn't actually come up. But yeah, I might either quit the thing cold turkey if it does come up, or I might just go blip, blip, blip past that spot. Just thought I'd say that now while I'm on a pause screen of how awful her self-control is and her not being bad person. Number 1 on that statement is, that's only $10. What are you going to do with $10? The next scene says that. Not much. Number 2 being, God abandoned everybody, so, like, y'all in a shithole, I'm just saying. Making a phone call to her sister, and her sister's just giving her shit. And honestly, well deserved. Though we all know she was probably calling to ask for money, because that's, like, what siblings do. I mean, hell, especially addicted siblings to things. Taking point, aforementioned aunt, constantly calling on us, even though we don't talk to her for days, weeks, months at a time, to bring her to the store. to get groceries, including cigarettes. She takes a picture of her room to send to her sister, and she just tosses the phone like, okay, yeah, no, she might have a point. I will say, though, like, for how messy you guys always see my room, it's at least not garbage messy. Oh, I shouldn't say messy. Some people may be offended based on soccer. I appreciate that being a rainbow. Why you couldn't do that on the other end, I don't know. Yeah. Or she just, like, sent it half-assed clean because she is a lazy smoker. Okay. That's stupid as shit, but it's actually kind of funny. And I'm gonna actually leave this on the red black side because it just kind of looks like that one Digimon. The Digimon that totally does not coincidentally look like shit. Even her sister just gave a look of, what the fuck? So, nicotine patches are a thing that's been around for a while, and, pretty sure the logic has never been correct on the more is better. Because that's literally doing the same thing as smoking a couple of cigarettes at the same time, I'm pretty sure. Again, never been one of those people. Won't know, but there's been a time or two I think something I've smoked was spiked with some nicotine, but that's neither here nor there. She put patches on a cigarette. Won't that, like, triplify the amount of nicotine that's in one of those bitches? Also tastes even worse than it already does. And she is out. Though, on that, I will actually add in real quick that this is one of the weirdest fucking seasons for anime. Because not only is there this, there's also that one Yuri-esque anime that's about a girl tripping on drugs all the time that I think fucking Mappa produced. And I'm totally gonna check that out, too. Like, if I'm gonna embrace the weird season of anime between things like this, that, and probably the second strangest Yuri anime I've ever seen even previews to, I'm going all in, man. I'm sorry. You haven't smoked in 3 days, and you are putting a cigarette into your mouth. Okay, there goes that praise. The look of horror, shock, disapproval, being lied to. Damn, that just gave the fucking apartment manager some PTSD, having smoke blown right in his face. Like, while I have some horrid predictions for how the future of this show could go, maybe I gave that guy a little bit too much, hate from the beginning, calling him a UGB. Because while he does fit the fold, it's questionable on how far that goes. So for now, I won't give him too much shit until it looks like it's going into that kind of direction. Unfortunately, I see it possibly going into that kind of direction. But for now, honestly, might feel a little bit bad for him. Then again, would we ever feel bad about Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force for being such an asshole just because he had a bad childhood? And on a similar topic, though, like, wasn't it during my lifetime? Could you actually imagine that back in the day, people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, etc., actually had to go and buy cigarettes and booze for their addicted parents? And most of them probably did get treated like that, honestly, instead just a simple, hey, can you go buy me a pack from the store? Because, I mean, some people may have had it that simple, but then other times it definitely was probably like that. I will say, though, like, obvious statement aside, that kind of situation has been a thing that I, like, would want to make the time to do every so often. Because honestly, there is kind of a weird vibe about smoking in the bath. Again, don't promote nicotine use, but there's a weird vibe about it. However, there is also that specific thing, too, of trying to take a bath for the first time in, like, years, because, like, adults usually don't bathe unless it's to relax. But man, the whole knees out of the tub bit really fucking kills me. Like, 70% of your body is with one temperature, and then the rest of your body is just like, hello, hello, are you going to make sure we're getting some of that? No? Okay, fine, I guess. Well, gee, you slept basically naked with your window door open. Yeah, no, of course you have the chills, you stupid cat. Or, as would be regarded and yes, I know this is going to sound weeby as hell, but just to accentuate the point of being a goddamn bakanako up in here, of course you have a fucking cold. Yeah, and I really wish I could, say I, better thought process than that. I got, a cold flu, a month or two ago. I still didn't stop smoking my, joints and stuff. I will be honest, why am I gonna rob one of my few pleasures in life? Might that be addictive behavior? Maybe, but also on the end of, at least it wasn't as damaging as nicotine would be. You're opting to rest, but you left the cigarette still lit. Again, it's not a very hard thing to do this to a light enough point to where it's not going to get to waste. Listen, again, I don't promote nicotine use, but on the other half of things, I at least know how to, make sure your shit doesn't get ruined and you can still save it for later. There's a happy medium. If you're smoking cigarettes, you should, either stop completely or hop over to the other thing so it's, less damaging to your body. But that could be damaging to everything. Imagine lit cigarette falls out of the thing and, the right situation to go, her floor is still fucking dirty as all hell, so there very well could be something flammable on that floor. So cigarette falls out, hits flammable thing, and is that her sister coming in with a fucking hazmat suit? Y'all just have thought of something I never thought about while I'm recording these, and I might try for the next episode on whatever I record, whether that's this or something else. I could take my microphone and, set it in my lap while I do these. Maybe I'll try that for the next episode. Because it might improve my audio quality, honestly. See, you knew her house was dirty and you didn't, look at the floor while you're moving. That's a you issue. I have 4 cats, 2 of which are crazy as hell. I look at the floor while I'm moving. Her helmet fell off and she's like, oh my god, are you okay? No, where's my mask? Rainbow. Oh. I feel really bad for the manager. He might fit a stereotype later in the series, but right now, I feel really bad for him, I'm not gonna lie. He gets cigarette ash, tar, grossness dumped on his head. He gets smoke blown right in his face and it triggers PTSD. And then he gets rainbowed on. But I get her vibe. Her assumed boyfriend over there kind of looks like the exact kind of thing I'm putting that UGB guy into possibly becoming later on. Damn! I mean, yeah, probably with how much she smokes, but crazy. Also, why does he also look like that aforementioned stereotypical type of character like the apartment manager is? And it's just all big business guys in this are gonna look like UGB. Well, I suppose that means I can't stereotype all of them, can I? I mean, I can, but... Okay, so he's going into the factor that her sister might die soon, and perhaps that's, the unfortunate endgame of this series. But can I just say how, not serious he is about giving this? Because your sister has 2, maybe 3 months to live. Actually, maybe a little longer, 100 days? I don't know. I just got my degree last week. How dare you make my sister cry? Your lungs are to blame, you dumb cat. Literally, though. You might just have lung cancer. And? Okay, that's deserved, though, honestly. If you want to smoke as much as humanly possible, That's one thing. But why are you smoking inside of a medical facility? Like, damn, even addicted people aren't that bad sometimes. Not that fucking casual about either. Then again, there are more places in Japan that still allow smoking than in America, so I suppose I can't speak for that specifically. Well, that first part might not be just a dream. And you'd think she'd take that as a warning, but based on things I've heard, that's debatable. But I suppose we'll see throughout the series. Now, maybe the weirdest literal shit that we've seen through this show is mostly in this first episode, but I doubt it. She says that. Meanwhile, bitch goes outside and you just hear, what the fuck did I just say? You know, a good sister would come over to her house and, like, chain her up. I mean that literally. Like, this is an anime. You could totally see her sister coming over, you know, bounds, gags, ropes, and all that kind of shit, and just and set her up to not be able to move, and just kind of leave her that for 3 days. Maybe next time, champ. Well, here I didn't think I'd be talking for almost an hour on that one, but here we are. Alright, Well, I know what I'm anticipating for the rest of this show and the possibilities that could come from it. I am going to hope for the best that people just kind of like gaslit me on where things could go in this show, but I'm not holding my breath on that like I would around somebody smoking excessive nicotine. But I'm going to go over my thought processes on where this could go from here on, because let's start with the obvious. I am going to hope that most of the excessively gross stuff was just saved for this first episode, and we don't have to put up with much more of it. Because listen, like, I don't mind using bodily functions as a joke for something. But yeah, a couple things there were kind of awkward, and Patreon side, sorry about that. But, yeah, like, the whole show is supposed to speak pretty deep into the addiction thing, and for better or worse, I would hope it's going to cover all fields of things and not just the bad aspects of it. But again, we'll see. It hasn't grossed me out too far to be able to, you know, not watch it any further, so there's that. I will continue on with it. However, I will say, based on my assumption to the apartment manager, and based on things I saw during the intro, I will state this much, because it is something I could assume will happen from the addiction perspective of things. If anybody has watched this far, and watched or read the manga, light novel, whatever, do please have the courtesy to inform me. Does she eventually get so desperate she trades favors for cigarettes? At least from the apartment manager or similar kin. Because listen, I can probably put a bias on it if it has the behind it. But in that kind of aspect, like it drove the manager to do earlier, similar to how we've seen other things drive people to do things like that. Yeah, debatable, but I guess I won't have this question answered for a few days anyway, so I'll have time enough to watch another episode or two, so maybe I'll have my answer revealed to me by that point. Fingers crossed not. Because I've had a lot revealed to me of the possibility of this show, and not too promising for her, so fingers crossed at least for us it's entertaining. There have been various amusing parts of this, don't get me wrong, and I've seen some other fun parts to watch. Now, granted, again, one of those times I'll say that for making us put up with certain things, I could at least could have showed a little more you know? And I can say that without being too weird because she's an adult, so at least I don't have to feel morally bad about saying, hey, nice boobs. But full discretion aside, yeah, hopefully, they just hint at the bad future like they did in her dream, because you'd think that'd be enough to tell somebody, hey, we should probably stop doing that thing they had a nightmare about dying about. But yeah, addiction's a bitch like that, and, well, guess we see where that's going, and we'll continue to see that. But let me know your thoughts on the show, the possibilities in the future. Warn me if there's any deplorable things in the future of the show if you're aware. Let me know about any other shows, movies, etc. coming out this season, next season, or in general. As I always say, part of the reason I had this, double down recommendation for me. There's at least 3 different Yuri anime this season out right now, I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to watch all of them, as well as trying to finish the few that I have yet to finish that are already in my backup. So, what order I do that in, we shall see. But for now, like, comment, subscribe to the other channels in the description, ring bells like Facebook, follow Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, Patreon, and Twitch. Subscribe to Patreon and Twitch for benefits. Can do so with Twitch Prime for free over there. And the Patreon ain't really that expensive if you want to check out full anime episodes along with me. Smile. As well as anything else I might upload there in the future. That being said, been the Blazer King with King's Critiques out. Ta-ta for now. Peace.